Mr. Chairman. Sorry. Mayor Bowser, good to see you. Chief Conti, it's been a while. You haven't been back for 2 years or so. It's good to see you. Mr. Donahue, first time. Mr. Graves, bro, you need to do your job. I mean, let's just be very clear. You know, obviously, you have a responsibility to the residents of the district in a myriad of ways. I think, my colleague talked about that, went in some heavy detail there. But if you're not going to do the job of actually standing behind Chief Conti and the work that his men and women do with the Metropolitan Police Department, then you're selling them down the river, and with them, the residents of D.C. And even the tourists that come to D.C. But, they're the ones that live here. They ride the bus. They get on the metro. They're going to school. They're going to work. And what everybody wants is just to be safe. And you're not holding up your end of the bargain. I've seen MPD all over D.C. They're out here every single day. They are here. It's very clear when they're on the scene. But you're not doing your job. So I just find it to be disgusting, frankly. Just uphold the law, enforce the law, and that actually will make the job easier for the chief and for the mayor to do their jobs. Mayor Bowser, real quick, when the Oversight Committee was investigating January 6th, you were not here. I don't know what was going on, so no need to go down that road. But I really had a question about, you requested troops on you requested National Guard troops on December 31, 2020. Is that correct?
That sounds right, but I would want to confirm the dates.
That's fine.
Yep.
That's fine. That's fine. Based upon any recollection that you have, what was the rationale for requesting National Guard troops?
We wanted to make sure that our city blocks were protected, and the chief decided we were in that transition week, so the chiefs decided that we wanted to create a traffic box around certain parts of our downtown, and the best use of resources would be National Guard instead of MPD, so that MPD could be available for law enforcement. So that was our request.
Okay, so quick follow-up to that, because I remember it having gone through orientation here before I got sworn in as a member of Congress, that during that time period, to the pandemic and everything else, there was no traffic in D.C., not like it is today. Like, nobody was driving through the streets of D.C. during that time period. So, and this is a legitimate question, was the concerns purely traffic corridors in the district for the date of January 6th?
Let me ask the chief to talk about how we
Sure, Chief Conti, if you can. That'd be great.
Yeah, so traffic is part of the concern. Certainly when we create traffic boxes, and we're expecting a lot of people in our city, we don't want to mix people and cars. So creating that space where for people who are expressing their First Amendment rights could peacefully be in the street or on the sidewalk or whatever, and not be hindered by cars and buses moving about.
Well, Chief, I just want to reclaim my time. I'm a minute 28. That's no disrespect to what you're saying. And my coughing, no disrespect to either.
No worries.
So real quick, now in a letter that was sent on January 5th, Mayor Bowser, you stated that the National Guard, that you were accepting the support, but you wanted them to be in an unarmed capacity. Is that correct? Or Chief Conti, can you corroborate that? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, and I thank you for that. These are some of the things that we just want to clarify. And I think here's the overarching point. And to be frank, honestly, Mayor Bowser, this really ain't got nothing to do with you. I think this is just a general point of what happened, when, and why. And I think, actually, last question for you. When your request for National Guard troops they were answered and you were given whatever you needed. Is that correct?
We were given, I believe, some of what we requested.
Okay. Were there any limits that came from the Secretary of the Army?
Yes.
Okay. Can anybody stipulate what that was?
Yeah, a couple of things. So we wanted, well, first of all, the limitation was we could not change their assignments without first receiving approval from the Secretary of the Army. We could not move National Guard members anywhere east of 9th Street Northwest. We couldn't move them there. And another thing we wanted was a quick reaction force, members of the National Guard to be able to respond. I don't think we received that resource either.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Last point I'll make, Mr. Chairman, and I know I'm slightly over my time. One thing that was clear in previous testimony in this committee, corroborated by this testimony today, is that, troops from National Guard were authorized by the president at the time, Donald Trump, on January 4. They were authorized. It was testified in this committee they were authorized. D.C. was able to take advantage of them in the capacity that D.C. wanted, save for the couple of requests that you also wanted. One thing it's important to indicate, Mr. Chairman, is that for National Guard troops to be deployed to the Capitol, it requires the Capitol Police Board to actually issue a state of emergency for troops to come on Capitol grounds. And the police board is made up of the architect of the Capitol, the head of Senate security, the head of House security, and the chief of the Capitol Police. And by my understanding, 3 of those 4 people report to the Speaker of the House. And the Speaker of the House at that time was Nancy Pelosi. So when we want to talk about National Guard being here and the timetable of them getting here, it's important to understand that there were National Guard in the District of Columbia, and their limitation of coming to the Capitol was not due to anybody else, because the president is not authorized to deploy troops to the Capitol, separation of powers. It is at the hands of the Speaker of the House. And with that, I yield, and I apologize for being 1:24 over.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Session from Texas for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. And Mr. Comer, Chairman Comer, I want to thank you for your not only meeting with at least Republicans before this hearing, but expressing your confidence that you believe that we could have a thoughtful meeting today with the representatives that would be here, and that the words of confidence that you spoke with the mayor about her job and how this committee could thoughtfully have a conversation today. It's my hope we will continue to have that conversation. I recognize you've been here a number of hours, each of you, and thank you. Some of the points that we've heard is that people on our side, where Republicans don't care about Washington, D.C., that we don't take time to come and walk the streets and talk to people. Well, perhaps there could be some evidence of that, but also my parents for over 20 years lived here, and my mother and my father both engaged Washington, D.C. elected officials, and I believe tried to provide feedback, and they did to my parents, and I was a part of those conversations. And I would like to say that there is great confidence that we want to have in working with you, and I think that's evidenced by you being here today. Mayor, I serve as the subcommittee chairman for government operations, and we have been in discussions and intend to have conversations with the federal government about bringing people back to work. I don't need to go through the facts of the case today, but the bottom line is the federal government is lagging, in our opinion, of getting people back to work. Back to work is, I think, not just healthy, but we have so many problems with passports and government, the IRS, and a lot of other agencies in performance of their duties that are necessary to the American people, so we will be doing that. I want to just perhaps provide some context. We have just come off being in the minority for 4 years. We had an opportunity when we were in the minority to help work and craft. Our colleagues sometimes led us and sometimes shared, sometimes did not share so well. But the agenda was definitely on the side of the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, and those who would be chairman of the committees. Their agenda is virtually our agenda today. That is that we're trying to make sure that the city of Washington, D.C. has a relationship with us whereby we provide feedback and we try and look at the things that are done. Together, we do recognize running a city is hard. We do recognize, however, or believe that just like the bipartisan piece of legislation that we did where we disagreed with the D.C. City Council, could not have come at a worse time based upon the assault on one of our members. And that created an era of lawlessness in this city. Please know this, we would like to work with you. However, we'd like for you to have an equal knowledge that marijuana in its simplest form is an addictive problem. And your members, DC members, and your people who are in your police force and others should recognize that there are things being mixed in marijuana, there are hallucinogens, there are problems that we have, and you're going to keep having violent crime if you keep having the positions that you take on allowing marijuana to be openly smoked, because it is easily infiltrated, so to speak. It can be changed, but it all by itself is an addictive, dangerous product. And there is more than enough national information out here. It creates a psychosis. It creates a lot of real problems. Who are the losers in this? Women and children. Women and children get the brunt of this problem. And I would like to just face all four of you and say, you need to tell the truth. You need to tell people the truth because they know it. And you will keep being a drug haven, a crime haven, and a gun haven if you continue how you approach drugs in the city of Washington, D.C. I'm very open to allowing you, you don't have to do it this forum, but that engagement, and expect it to come from the Government Operations Subcommittee, the engagement on public safety and the safety of women and children. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for the time. I know I'm over. My special thanks to all four of you for taking time to respectfully, thoughtfully take time to articulate your ideas with a group of people who care about you. I yield back my time.
Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will please stand and raise their right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Let the record show that the witnesses all answered in the affirmative. So now I recognize Professor Mulligan for your opening statement.
Good morning, Chairman Comer, Ranking Member Raskin, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss with you today how federal regulation has evolved over time. Thousands of new regulations are issued each year. My testimony summarizes new regulations since 2009, their time pattern, and the magnitude and character of their aggregate costs. One finding is that the rules finalized by the Biden administration through the end of 2022 imposed costs of nearly $10,000 per household, which is $1,300 more than the burden of the Obama administration rules during the comparable time frame. Regulatory paperwork, or red tape, is notorious and it's significant. However, opportunity and resource costs are 10 times the red tape. Remember the government orders that shut down schools and businesses. Those rules took away valuable opportunities to learn, trade, innovate, and realize our full potential. The time it took to write and read the shutdown order, or the cost of the paper it was written on, pale by comparison to the lost opportunities.